A lot of you have been cheering very loud. I want you guys to keep it up. It's amazing to have so many of you around. It's been a pretty long day already, but the best is still to come. We have a second semifinal and a final later on. But for now, Nate, go ahead and introduce
our first player in the top left. The blue Protoss needs to bring this back. SKT1's Classic.
You guys have been very loud for him already. He is one map away from making it to the grand finals. Be loud one more time for MMA.
You guys are awesome. Kev, this is my first time coming to BlizzCon. A lot of you guys came out. You showed up. This arena is packed. It is so cool that there are so many passionate StarCraft fans here to watch the WCS Championship. Give yourselves another hand.
Yeah. We'll be joining you guys later on. We'll be just like you.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait to see how this all ends. So many great games left today. But MMA finds himself in the curious position of being very close to moving on to the grand final.
This is interesting, Nate. Map number 4 on merry-go-round, not really the biggest map in our current map pool. MMA decides to go for the command center first on the low ground. Now, this means that this is a very economic opening. We'll give him access to a lot of workers early on. Of course, won't allow him to be as aggressive as he was in the previous maps, at least not in the first few minutes of this game. Just a tiny bit surprised by it, because this is the type of map where I could see Classic open up rather crazy. Proxy Stargate is not, something that he's never done before on this map.
No, and on this map, it's quite good because you have that third spawning location, and you're generally not going to scout that base or that area after you determine your opponent hasn't spawned there. So it's great for hiding tech, any variety of tech, honestly. But as you said, the Stargate play is good, not only because of that, but because, as I mentioned earlier, medevacs, right? You have so much space that you can approach that main from. You really need to be on your toes as both players in this matchup.
This could be very frustrating because Classic wants to get his own Nexus down, but MMA is going to prevent this from happening for now. So Classic will just start the Mothership Core before anything can possibly go down in this match. The probe is just phasing away at this SCV for now.
You do not want to have to do this if you're Classic. That SCV just being so annoying, and should be able to get this first worker kill here, Kev.
Yeah, he should. This SCV is going to... Boom! The probe getting the first blood.
The kiss of death.
But I actually think that SCV saw that pylon, right? It would be very nice to confirm that, because I think that is a kind of pylon that already, he saw it, and like the probe coming from that angle as well. Isn't it a pylon that just screams like, I was born to walk in the Stargate?
I don't normally just patrol my probes at pylons that are at the end of my base. Usually they're there to do something.
We all have dreams and ambitions, and that pylon just screams that he wants to power a Stargate.
And then this map, it's going to allow him to go straight to that natural expansion. Of course, a command center first. It gives you access to the 2 barracks production, which, you can get a lot of Marines out quickly, but MMA actually very quickly moved to his engineering bay, but also taking that gas. So the factory could come up before the 3rd barracks potentially. We've seen MMA get this just later 3rd barracks if he wants to as well, only so you can afford the missile turrets, which in this case would be quite useful because, as you said, he already saw that suspiciously placed pylon.
+1 attack going down as well, so this is a little bit identical to what we saw on Nimbus. Now on Nimbus, I was still surprised that Classic wanted to go up to 3 bases that quickly, because that's not really a map where it's super easy to defend. You could say once it's all up and running, as the scan does go down in the main base, and of course, if MMA wasn't sure yet, he's definitely sure now. I also think he's purposely scanning on that side of the area, because he did see that pylon. He's like, well, if you're trying to hide anything, it's probably on that side of your main.
This scan does so much for MMA. As a Terran player, you're wondering, do I want to make the investment in the fast engineering bay? And players like Flash have shown that the fast +1 attack is very useful for defending and making early aggressive pushes. And as this Oracle moves through, it's not going to do a lot. Once this missile turret completes, though, because MMA made that scan, because he knows that the Stargate's here and he's already deflected the Oracle, there's less units than you normally have as a Protoss to defend back home, and we could see one of those little shoves that lots of Terran players have done in the past, especially on this map against Protoss.
I was about to say, especially on merry-go-round, because it's such a wide ramp, of course, in the natural. I can't believe it. Like, it's so crazy to think that MMA is one map win away from making it to the grand finals. Like, looking at the round of 16, there were very, very few people who thought that he was going to be one of the guys that could go all the way. But he's in a good position now, and like you said, those pushes on these maps, you know, it's just one successful bio attack away now, and MMA has done what I think almost nobody thought he could do.
Yeah, this has been a really well-played series. Classic still has a chance. He still has this map, and if he can win the next one to come back, but that Oracle loss, well, that's not going to help his chances.
That is such a huge pickoff for MMA. Oracles are so quick. They, of course, drop Revelation all the time. There is Charge on the way. There is Phoenix on the way. That also means... That also means, Nate, there's probably no robotics facility, and there won't be a robotics facility for a while. So if MMA decides to add in a Widow Mine or two here and there, and with two I kind of mean like maybe 4 or 6 eventually, I think that would be devastating for Classic to deal with.
MMA needs to figure out as fast as possible that there's no robotics facility. If he recognizes that this is the same style Classic used on this map to beat Polt with, which is how he got here in the first place, then Widow Mines will do a lot to help defend. Of course, the Zealots clump up, the splash damage is phenomenal, and you don't have those long-range Colossi to pick off those mines.
And of course, yeah, we just saw the Oracle was picked off, and when you're making Phoenixes, the last thing you kind of want to do is stop your Phoenix production and just go back to make another Oracle. They're very expensive units. It's just not something you want to put your resources in. Billy the Marine tried to get the key scout off there, Nate, but he didn't really see a whole lot. Charge wasn't ready yet. It's 10 seconds away from finishing up. He didn't see any of the Phoenixes, as of course Classic is hiding them, so good job there by Classic preventing MMA from figuring out what is truly going on.
Yeah, the Templar Archive starts up. The +2 armor is on the way, and MMA does not yet have an armory. Even though he had his fast +1 attack, that +2 is very far off. This drop could hurt MMA a lot more than he's intending to hurt Classic.
This is very dangerous. Once again, against Phoenix charge slots, it's not really an army composition that you want to start dropping against, because every single unit that you send in is very committed. Classic has pylons spread across the top side of the map as well. Oh, he scans, and he's
very important scan for MMA.
I should not drop that. I should not go there anymore.
Well, you know, I was thinking about booking a trip over there, and I just changed my mind. It just doesn't seem like a good idea, and because of that, he's going to save himself a world of hurt.
Yep, and this is very devastating, because when you play this style as a Protoss player, what you love the most is that first drop.
Please come in, bring all your units.
Please try to do something. Okay, he's still going to chase though, Nate. He's going to try to chase these units, and maybe here come the Zealots as well.
Catches an exposed medevac. Those Zealots are charging up now. They do not have that +2 armor just yet, but they still have the numbers. And MMA's bringing his rest of his forces up. He has Widow Mines. These Zealots are very vulnerable to the splash damage.
That was not a good fight, I think, at all for Classic. It started off promising, but the reinforcements from MMA...
And if he cuts him off, those Widow Mines move quite fast as well. He might be able to kill all these forces on the ground.
One more stim for MMA, and a lot of Zealots are forced to take a fight that they didn't want to take a fight, and there are Widow Mines as well. Classic has to retreat again. I don't think he can keep this base alive. Okay, he does have Archons now, Donate.
And he's going to use the rest of the energy on his Phoenix, leaving the Marauders up front to soak up the hits of those Archons, and as long as he keeps slowly inching these Widow Mines forward, there's nothing here with enough range to comfortably deal with them, let alone any detection.
This is devastating for Classic. He just doesn't have the, okay, Widow Mines do a little bit of friendly fire there, but still though, this is not a good position for Classic at all. He's down in army supply, and above all, he has an army that's very kiteable. He has nothing to trap these units. The Marine count in general is too high. The only observer that he had just got picked off. You have to make another one, but you don't want to make observers now. I don't think he can defend this base.
Yeah, Photon Overcharge is nice, but the Marauders have the firepower necessary to take down this Nexus. He's going to attack into these Widow Mines, and that splash damage just eradicates them, even with that +2 armor. The Archon focused on only one power unit left for Classic to defend.
There are very few people who thought that MMA would be in the finals of BlizzCon 2014, but now, Nate, it's starting to look like it. He's not there yet. He still has to work hard for it. but he has Widow Mines. He has plenty of bio units streaming across the map, and he's still up in supply. There is another observer, though, and Photon Overcharge is doing some work.
Yeah, that +2 armor is the anchor because it just makes these Zealots able to soak up so much. But MMA has a lot of momentum. He's killed a lot of expensive units. He's taken his third base. And most importantly, he started his own additional upgrades. He's going to catch up as far as attack versus armor goes. And all Classic can do is just crutch himself on these Archons and hope that they can push him away.
The biggest problem with the Archons is just that they will most likely not be able to get very close to these bio units. Like, MMA has to make sure that if he takes a fight, it's actually a fight where he has a lot of firepower, so it's difficult. He's throwing away quite a few units over the last few minutes. He has to be very cautious with that, because Classic was surprisingly, like, it almost looked impossible, able to defend that third base because of that Photon Overcharge.
Seriously impressive defense. That Nexus is very low. At some point, you know, I'm actually kind of surprised he didn't try to dive on that. That is so crucial. The minerals there, and it, you know, it's not as big of a deal to get the geysers when you're doing this style because you just want to pump out tons of Zealots with those upgrades.
MMA, of course, still in a pretty comfortable supply lead, and there is still no Storm on the map. And Classic is still kind of in an uncomfortable position because he can fight against small amount of bio. He doesn't mind. I must say he has a surprising amount of Zealots, Jesus, and he's starting +3 armor as well.
Yeah, that's where things can get really complicated. So he's still only going to have that one upgrade lead because MMA got his armory up. But now the drops can come into play and still be tricky. You know, this is still, despite the Templar opening, it's not actually Templar. It's focusing just on the Archons.
MMA has to be very careful over here. He does have a lot of Widow Mines.
Quite a few mines. You don't want to step too close. A lot of the shields peeled off of those Zealots.
There's a drop in the natural right now from Classic. That's actually doing quite a bit of damage.
Oh, and a mine there too.
That's frustrating. Mine is going to do some friendly fire, perhaps. Oh, he's unburrowing it. Very well done there by MMA, making the best out of everything. Phoenixes are going to come in. The Widow Mine should kill a Phoenix over here.
Yeah, not bad. At least doing the most that he can and picking off the Phoenix in the air. It's like, actually, they're all holding the Marines up so they couldn't kill them.
These Marines are actually doing some serious work. This is really bad for Classic. He's losing 7-8 workers over here.
And he's still pressuring this third base, which has, you know, it's very vulnerable.
And he still has that Widow Mine in the natural as well. Let's not forget about that.
Yeah, I'd love to see these Widow Mines spread out on the high ground here outside this third.
That Zealot. That Zealot has a very, very poor job.
If MMA targets that, a lot of probes could die.
Yep. No, what are you doing, Zealot? Oh, okay.
Get back here.
Well, he definitely took one for the team there, because that could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think it was on purpose, but...
It's difficult to be cost and effective with MMA's army. The Phoenix are the only removal tools for these Widow Mines. Nothing else has enough range. The Immortal can do a little bit of work, but if that's at the front of your army, you have other problems ahead of you. And MMA is getting ready to attack once again. Those +2 upgrades are ready.
It's a difficult ramp to fight on if you're Classic. Like, Zealots are very good in a wide open area. If they can get a surround on this army, they can definitely make the magic happen. But on a ramp, especially when there's just so many Widow Mines over there.
Yeah, he's got a lot of forces out on the other side too. The friendly fire not as big of a deal, and Zealots just dying left and right. Ghosts are going to show up and EMP this army. Classic has run out of forces. MMA stampeding towards this third base. He wants to go to the grand finals here at BlizzCon 2014, and I don't think Classic can stop him anymore.
He will do it, Nate. Unbelievable run so far from MMA. An unbelievable performance. In almost every round, people thought he was an underdog. Maybe not so much against Stardust, but definitely in his quarterfinals against Bomber and even against Classic. Everyone's like, well, I don't think MMA is going to be able to do it. But he's stimming up the ramp, and he has done it.